What is going on, my Jets family out there? I'd like to thank you, like always, for tuning in to the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out on your Monday evenings to listen to me talk about them Jets. So, what I want to talk to you guys about is a very important topic. And that topic is the offensive weapons that our rookie quarterback is going to be surrounded with, which is really the name of the game. One of the biggest arguments against our last quarterback, the last young guy we had, was that he didn't have adequate talent around him. He wasn't put in the right position to be able to succeed. Now, granted, I finally came around myself. There were, like I've and many others have said with Darnold, that the numbers are low. They're bad, not low. There's a difference between bad and low. All the arguments that he was, statistically the worst quarterback. That's not all on him, but sorry, that's not all on Adam Gase. That's going to be on him as well. But getting into the weapons, which is the important situation, Joe Douglas, my guy, the one I've been telling you guys about, the one I've been saying, how great this guy is, how this guy, he's the GM, the one that's going to take us where we need to go. Well, he got the offensive weapons for our young quarterback because we have a new quarterback, Zach Wilson, the guy I wanted. Now we're building talent around him, and we have a lot of talent there. You can always still improve, always still room for improvement. I know there's, rumors about Julio Jones potentially being available. So I see some of you guys coming in, shout out to everyone here. Yeah, Braden says, yeah, offensive weapons. Yeah, my man, offensive weapons. That's what it's all about. It's about giving your quarterback the potential to succeed, giving him that ability. Like we just talked about, I'll get into. I'm going to take a trip down memory lane, and we'll talk about, the kind of offensive weapons our team have had in the last couple of years. But what we're looking at right now is a really great situation. So I got the roster up. Let's run through this together. Let's look at the talent that Joe Douglas has put together to surround our young quarterback, our rookie quarterback with, to be able to succeed. Now, first off the bat, number one I'm going to mention is obviously going to be Corey Davis. Corey Davis and Denzel Mims potentially have the combination to be the guy. And I'm going to explain why it's actually potentially better to have two guys that could be the guy as opposed to one. So Corey Davis, I've pointed it out. You guys can check on Twitter. He was amazing in college. If you didn't watch this kid in college, back in 2017, he was the 5th overall pick for a reason. This kid lit it up at Western Michigan, broke it. Most receiving yards ever, second most touchdowns ever. You can argue one of the best college receivers ever. The talent is there. And he looked good in his rookie season, struggled a little bit after that. Last year, though, he had a career year, close to 1,000 yards. Kid's only 26 years old. But his worst is a wide receiver, too. Like, that's Corey Davis's floor. And the same goes for Denzel Mims. So Denzel Mims's floor is a wide receiver too. But a lot of people are saying he can't be a wide receiver one. I hear that already, and I think that's crazy. I mean, I'm not saying he's there yet. Definitely not there yet. But he's only played 1 year. The kid was supposed to be a first-round pick. Don't forget Denzel Mims. We thought, I pointed out in the past myself, I did tons of mocks last year. I didn't have Denzel Mims going to the Jets because he was gone. I didn't have him in any of my mocks. Remember, he fell in the second round. We were like, oh, my God, we're going to get Mims. And then Douglas traded back, and everyone's like, we're going to burn the place to the ground, and we didn't get Mims, and we still get Mims anyway. Because as you guys know, I pointed out how, just Joe is the man. I want to take a second here because James makes a good point. No Julio. I don't think Julio's even an option. I was going to bring that up in a little bit, getting into guys that could potentially be another way to go. But I don't think Julio Jones is in the Jets' radar. And not that they don't want him. I mean, who the hell wouldn't? Julio Jones is Julio Jones. I said last year at the beginning of the last season, you could check it. I was like, Julio's over 30 now. Maybe he'll start missing a beat. And then I watched some game film of last year, and I was like, nah, Julio Jones still looks amazing. So Julio Jones is still it. But just like, when Tom Brady at the end of his career went somewhere, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, guys that they claim could be going somewhere. They're going to a team that's set up for success, a team that's ready to compete now. It comes down to that same logic. Remember we talked about when Joe Thuney didn't come to the Jets. Joe Thuney specifically, had a lot of options on the table and was being offered a lot of money at all of his options. And why wouldn't he choose the Kansas City Chiefs? I mean, come on. Patrick Mahomes. I mean, we're definitely trending in the right direction. But you're not going to compare us to them and like Andy Reid. I mean, come on. So we want to get to that point. Julio Jones is not coming here, just like Aaron Rodgers wasn't coming here. Julio Jones is not coming to the Jets. So if he's going somewhere, it's to a team to compete now. I mean, unless the Jets make a nice enough offer, it could be interesting to get the trade. It could be interesting to see. I don't see it happening. I don't see Joe doing that. But, and again, because I think we have talent right now. So we mentioned Corey Davis. A wide receiver 2 is his floor. Like, that's the worst he does. And on his best days, he looks like that wide receiver 1. He looks like the guy. Well, if you watched Mims last year, if you watched him in the games where he lit it up, he looked like the guy. He was making great catches, diving catches, excellent in contested catches, good route running. He played really well. I think with Denzel Mims, it's the same thing. Wide receiver 2 floor, but the wide receiver 1 potential is still there. I mean, again, I mentioned he's only played 1 year. How can you say a guy can't be something after 1 year? We have to, again, remember, he was supposed to be a first-round pick. We got lucky we got it even by trading back, and he looked good last year. I gave you guys stats in the past. Allen Robinson, not a great rookie season. Kenny Golladay, not a great rookie season. Both drafted later than Denzel Mims. The rookie season, team players are acclimating to the NFL. Most of the time they get hurt. And lo and behold, Denzel Mims was hurt. And he hurt his hamstring. Man, hamstring injuries linger. That shit lingers. And he had both of his hamstrings hurt. So I don't even think, in my opinion, if you guys want to hear this, I don't even think we've seen Denzel Mims' top speed yet. I don't even think we've seen what he tops out at yet. Because he hurt both hamstrings last year. And again, those are 2 injuries that tend to linger. So one was probably sore at one point in time. So I think there's still a top-end speed there that we saw at Baylor that we're going to get to see this year, and it's going to be exciting as hell. But Marvin brings up right here, I think we run double tight ends with Herndon and Yeboah. I totally agree, man. I mean, that's the point of, with LaFleur, with Saleh, like we talked about. Remember in the podcast the other day when I talked about the draft picks? Remember I talked about Michael Carter, a safety being drafted to play slot corner. And these guys are good man coverage. Guys like Guidry, Carter, Echols, they thrive in man coverage. But Saleh runs his zone. It's going to be a multi-formatted scheme. It's going to be multi-dimensional. You play to your player's strengths. Think of it like the anti-Gase is like the best way to think of it. Like literally the opposite of that. Like adapting and using your players to the abilities that they thrive in. Like a little off topic. Like Bryce Hall, for example, we're talking coverage. He thrived at zone in college, thrived in zone at Virginia, and played the man damn well last year. The biggest knock on him was people said, his man coverage wasn't as good as his zone. Well, he looked like a damn CB1 last year in a bad system. In a bad system run by Case and Greg Williams, he looked good. That's why, just a little off topic, guys like that, guys like Bryce Hall, guys like John Franklin Myers, guys like Bryce Huff, guys that shined in that bad system, I'm excited about their potential. But Marvin, I definitely think we're going to run 2 tight end sets. I'm excited about Yeboah's receiving ability. You have to remember, Yeboah was the 2nd most receiving yards at Ole Miss last year behind Elijah Moore. The 2 boys are back in town, baby. They're united, and I like that. I like instant chemistry. Just like the example when we talked about offensive line last week, I mentioned about Tristan Hodge. I really like Tristan Hodge because he's a tough guy. He wants to be there. He wants the position. He's tough as hell, like I said. Can't undershadow his toughness enough, but he has chemistry there. That instant chemistry between those 2 is going to be amazing. I mean, they were the 2 best receivers at Ole Miss last year. And Yeboah, again, Herndon is a question mark, whether we want to accept it or not. We were going to get to tight ends, but just talking about tight end quick, as Marvin brought it up, Herndon's a question mark. I mean, Herndon had a very solid rookie season. but he was, suspended for a little while and injured a lot of his sophomore season. And last year, he didn't really show up. He showed up toward the end of the year. If you guys check it out, I pointed out at the end of the season, Herndon's catch percentages were 78%, 100%, 2 weeks in a row, 2 weeks out of the last 4 weeks. So he showed up at the end of the season. But I like Kenny Yeboah, man. Kenny Yeboah has a lot of receiving potential. I tweeted out a video just the other day that shows his breakaway ability. When he gets open, he's a pretty big dude. He can take off. This kid has speed. I really, really like Kenny Yeboah. So I would not be shocked if he beats out Herndon at all. But hell, 2 tight end sets. That's the whole point. That's the whole thing with it. So yeah, man. So back to the receivers like we were talking about. The point I was getting at before is some teams have a top wide receiver one, like that Julio Jones, like the Giants are going to have with Kenny Golladay. That's great to have an uncontested elite receiver. But you don't think that guy's getting double teamed? You don't think he's getting double teamed, maybe even triple teamed with a safety or something? You don't know what's going on there. We've seen Michael Thomas make catches with 3 dudes on him. That's what they do when you have a guy like that. Who else do you have? Instead of having just one great wide receiver one, I'm telling you guys, this combination of Davis and Mims could really be exciting. These are both, again, 2 guys that on their worst days are wide receiver 2s, but can easily be that wide receiver 1. Mims, again, a rookie, just scratching that potential. So that kid could be it. That kid could totally be what we want. And then Corey Davis is the second guy, which that's just great also. It works out no matter what. Now, one of you, somebody mentioned, Marvin brought up, Brandon brought up Keelan Cole. My bad, clicked on the wrong one. Shout out to Brandon, my bad, man. He said, excited to see this group in action. Love the Keelan Cole signing. Keelan Cole is an underrated signing. And the whole point is depth. I joke about it all the time because I play Madden myself. You can treat the NFL like a Madden game. In a Madden game, you could have 1 or 2 great receivers and your defensive linemen never get winded. They always play. You need rotation. You need to match strengths. Again, think about the anti-Gase. You match players up based on, this guy is more of a power rusher. He's better in this. Just some way to match your guys up in a mismatch. That's what Saleh's going to do. He's going to use his guys to their strengths, complement them, make them work well together, and it's going to be exciting. So a guy like Keelan Cole, he's underrated, man. Keelan Cole, I've seen it before, and I tweeted him myself. This kid's got highlight reel catches. Like, this kid has catches that are legit, like, put it up, put it on the film, like some diving catches. He's a wide receiver 3 with wide receiver 2 potential. Hell, he's actually had a couple of games. Check him out. They're there. He's had 1 or 2 games where he's been a wide receiver 1. So that's just even more depth. And that's what I was going to get into as well, the depth you need at those positions. So we mentioned tight end before. The Jets going in, it was a question mark because Herndon, I hope he turns it around. And my hope for Herndon is, again, he looked good at the end of last season when given the opportunity, because he wasn't really given the opportunity before that. And he's in a contract year. Don't knock players on a contract year, because even if it's all about me, which, let's be honest, we saw with Jamal Adams, some of these assholes are. It's all about me. That's just how it is. If it's an all about me, he's going to perform in a contract year. We see guys more often than not perform in a contract year because that's when they're going to make their money. That's when they're going to make their dent. So I'm hoping Herndon has a good, solid, big season or even a breakout season because of that. Literally because of it being a contract year. He's thinking about the money he could be making, and we see it all the time. We've even seen it from mediocre guys who have had unbelievable 4th years, gotten paid, and then not done much after that. So we're going to see. We're going to see with that. But again, don't sleep on Yeboah. So we talked about Herndon being the only tight end option as a receiver. Yeboah's there now. And the other beauty is we have blocking options. We talked last week about offensive line, and it's no hidden secret to any of you guys or me that our offensive line was pretty bad last year. Our tackle play was pretty decent, but everything else was absolute garbage. Just throw it in the trash. So obviously, we've added Vera Tucker. That makes a big difference. But when you get to the blocking, it's good to have blocking tight ends. We saw that last year with Wesco. Trayvon Wesco is an above-average blocking tight end and doesn't get enough credit for it. So is Tyler Kroft. You have 2 tight ends now that are pretty good blockers that have only helped the offensive line in run situations, can make a catch here or there, and 2 legit receiving options. Hopefully legit. Hopefully legit. I'll say that. Let's be honest. Okay, fair. Hopefully legit. So TJ mentions running back. I'm going to come back to running back, my man, but just back to the receiver. So a tight end showing again how Joe Douglas has set them up for success because now Zach Wilson has blocking tight ends and multiple receiving tight ends. So even if Herndon doesn't show up, guys, Kenny Yeboah, check it out. Kenny Yeboah was projected to be a 5th to 7th round pick. He had over 500 yards last year, lit it up at Ole Miss, good receiving option. So definitely a great addition there and an undrafted one at that. So back to wide receiver. We talked before about having a legit wide receiver one, but that guy gets double teamed more often than not. We see it all the time. I joked before, even triple team. We've seen it with dudes like Michael Thomas. It's good to have multiple options. Hard to double team two guys, and if you double team them both, somebody's wide open. That's just math. That's just basic math. If you double team both the outside wide receivers, somebody's got to be open somewhere. Somebody else is open. So it schemes people open, which is great. And it gives you two guys that on their best days could be wide receiver ones. Like legit, there could be weeks where the two of them are putting up 200 plus yards, just them. Just them, very possible. We mentioned Keelan Cole. That's a depth option, but a good depth option. Talk about the slot for a second. People wanted to get rid of Jamison Crowder. If you do, you forgot who he was. Jamison Crowder was awesome. You guys know it. Jamison Crowder has been not only one of our best wide receivers, he's been one of the best slot receivers in the NFL since being drafted. This kid is legit. He's not getting old. He's still got plenty left. That was the thing, people are like, we should cut him because he's due like $11 million and none of it's guaranteed. But we don't need the money because we got plenty of it. And he's still a quality player. So now you got Crowder and factor in Elijah Moore. I mean, you guys know all about Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore is the man. I've shown it when we did, check out the podcast if you guys haven't. The episode I did where I got into the draft picks, all about Elijah Moore. The stats are legit. He was the best slot receiver in college football, period, the last 2 years. The second best wide receiver in college football at all last year. Unbelievable numbers. Never drops a red zone target. This kid has unbelievable potential. He's fast as hell. He can be used in any kind of option. He's going to be a great deep threat. I mean, you guys thought Robbie was a great deep threat. Elijah Moore, this dude is going one-on-one with you. You're not keeping up unless you run like a 4.3 something 40. This dude is taking off. Great hands, great catchability, good route running. Like I said, 25 red zone targets, never dropped one. Great to have two slot guys because now 4 wide receiver sets. Let's make teams guess. Let's open this shit up, guys. Corey Davis on one side, Denzel Mims on the other, Jameson on one inside, Elijah Moore on the other. I dare an NFL team to defend that. That's my statement. You put the 4 of them on the field together. Stop it. I dare you to stop it. And that's what the Jets are going to do. They're going to dare people to stop it. You got the talent. You line it up. That is going to be exciting. 4 wide receiver sets open so many things up. And now you have that ability, especially with 2 interior guys. Guys like Crowder and Moore, who are both smaller, very fast, very shifty, great hands, excellent players. So a lot of receiving options there, which I love. And again, I'm going to get into, the guys that our former quarterbacks had as option, the guys that they had. But think about those guys I just mentioned there. Now going into the depth for a little bit because there's more there. So obviously you got Corey Davis and Mims as your 1 and 2. Both are the 1 and 2 again, honestly. You got Crowder and Elijah Moore, both in the slot, interchangeable, easily use them both on the inside, move them around. Gadget player, Moore could be a gadget player. Crowder even could too if you wanted to. A lot of potential there. We talked about Keelan Cole, some of the depth guys. Braxton Barrios. Braxton Barrios played pretty well last year. He had some bad games. Don't get me wrong. That drop from Flacco in the end zone, we all wanted to smack him after that one. I mean, that was a bad drop in the end zone. But he played well a couple of weeks. He really got it together toward the end of the season. Young dude, see what he could do. Lawrence Cager. Lawrence Cager was one of Joe Douglas's undrafted guys last year. Cager is a big dude. Cager is 6'5", 220 something pounds. He's a big dude. He's not that fast, but he's strong and he makes contested catches. My view for Cager is a red zone threat. I view him as like a slower Brandon Marshall with the ability to maybe get a catch radius, like, because he has a big catch radius. He needs to work on his ability, but it's there. I want to use that kid as a red zone threat. That's what I'm thinking. Marvin points out I have faith in Cager. Man, he could be a good option. Cager at Georgia played really, really well. And I think he played for Tennessee first. I don't know why I'm blanking on it right now, where he transferred from, but he was good. He's always been good. Cager, has the potential. James mentions it too. A lot of people like Cager. Everyone's on Cager. Man, he's not the fastest guy, but you don't need to be when you're that big. The dude is 6'5". He's got a radius that has a radius. There's a catch radius there, guys, and it's going to be exciting. I want to use him as a red zone threat. It's just like similar when you use a tight end as a red zone threat. And we can do that now with guys like Herndon, guys like Yeboah, receiving options that are bigger. So we mentioned a couple of depth. We mentioned Cager. We mentioned Barrios. Talked about Cole. Bunch of options here. Josh Malone is still on the roster. I'll be honest. I don't see him making the team. We saw a little bit of what he had. I don't think it's there. I see him getting cut maybe in camp, but we'll see what happens there. Couple of other young guys as well. We got the two Smiths. We got Jeff Smith and Vincent Smith. I'm more excited about Jeff Smith's potential because that's a kid that played a little bit of quarterback, I believe, in his freshman year at Boston College. Played well. Not as a quarterback, but when they transitioned him to a wide receiver, he played very well, and he's fast. He's fast, but because he has the quarterback background, think about what you want in a wide receiver. One of the most important things in a wide receiver is the ability to notice when a quarterback is in distress, realize that the pocket is collapsing, make an adjustment, rerun the route. How much times do we say with the Jets? So many times in the past. You guys know it. I remember saying it. So many times in the past, we kill the Jets for not being able to not just create separation, but giving up on a second effort. There's no second effort. The pocket's collapsing, and they're just like, like, what's happening? Like, make an effort. So I like that about him because I feel like he might have that ability to make that effort potentially. So you have Jeff Smith. You have Vincent Smith as well. I like Jeff Smith a little more for that, again, cerebral ability would be a good way to put it. But with Vincent Smith, man, that injury last year, I don't know if you guys remember that Vincent Smith injury last year. Man, that was tough. Like, I don't want to gross anybody out, so warning, it's pretty damn graphic. I mean, the dude ripped his abdomen muscles off of his core. Like he missed the whole season, and I can understand that. So I'm a little, I don't know with him. Like, we're going to have to see. Like, I just hope he doesn't get gruesomely hurt again. Like, that's all I'm hoping for. Because when I heard that, I was like, damn. Like, his abdomen muscles ripped off the okay, we're done talking about it. We're moving on. So let's just pray for that kid to stay healthy, and we'll go from there. You have DJ Montgomery. My only exciting thing with DJ Montgomery was the greeting he got last year from Sean Bates. You guys remember, he made a catch, and Sean Bates was like, I love it. He was the motivator, the one you wanted. So I like that. But DJ Montgomery probably isn't making the team. DJ Montgomery, like Josh Malone, are probably on the outside looking out. What we're probably looking at right now at wide receiver is Corey Davis and Denzel Mims as that interchangeable 1 and 2. I expect to see more 1 from Corey Davis, but hey, I hope I'm wrong. I hope Mims is freaking amazing, and again, he can still be a wide receiver 1. Please make that clear to anybody saying he can't. He's played 1 year, and he's supposed to be a first-round pick. All the reasons we said. So the two of them are interchangeable at 1 and 2. You got Jamison Crowder and Keelan Cole there as beautiful slot options. Then his depth, I think it's going to wind up being Braxton Barrios, Lawrence Cager, Keelan Cole, obviously, and Jeff Smith. That would be my prediction. I would say the depth guys would be, again, Keelan Cole, who is a great depth option. Again, this kid's made some great catches. So Keelan Cole, Oh, I lost my spot here. My bad, guys. Keelan Cole, Braxton Barrios, Lawrence Cager, and Jeff Smith. That is my prediction. If the other guys make it, that'd be great. So we talked about tight end. One of you guys earlier mentioned running back. So I'm going to talk about running back for a second. I believe it was TJ. Yeah. Shout out to my man, TJ. TJ said, how much of a role do you think Carter will have? Well, man, I think Carter is going to have a big role because I'm excited about that pick. I really, really am. And you guys remember, I kept saying I didn't want to go with, skill position high. That was a big thing with me. I wanted offensive line. I wanted that kind of ability. I potentially wanted to maybe go to a guy like a Wusa Koromoa. But I told you guys, Douglas killed it. Man, Douglas knows so much more than me, which I'm glad about. He killed it, man. He knows. Again, we talked about, remember, the safeties that I wasn't looking at, thought about it. I'm like, wait, Keanu O'Neal type. He nailed it, man. I looked back. We're not worthy. Like, I'm not worthy. Like, that shit was great. So, moving on to getting guys like Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore was supposed to be a first-round pick, just like Denzel Mims. Elijah Moore was supposed to be a first-round pick. Everyone, even Douglas said to him, we were planning on taking you at 23. And then we lucked out and were able to get you still at 34, which is awesome. They all said it was great value. I say great value. Everyone says that's great value. And then Michael Carter too. So I said, if we're going to go running back or wide receiver, I wanted it to be fourth round or later. Remember, that's what I was saying. I was saying fourth round or later. Well, we got Michael Carter in the fourth round. But that kid wasn't supposed to be a fourth-round pick. You guys check back. I was talking about Michael Carter. I kept saying he slept on because of Javonte Williams. And please, check Twitter. I pointed a whole bunch of stats on it. I showed that Michael Carter was actually better than Javonte Williams last year. They had the same amount of carries, yet Michael Carter had more yards and averaged more per carry. Michael Carter is a hitter for a guy at only about 200 pounds, but his best feature is his patience. What's unique about him? I don't want to compare him to, the guy we were supposed to get that had patience. So I'm not going to do that. But he's a patient kind of back. It's rare. You don't see that anymore. It's an old school kind of running approach. If you watch him at North Carolina, he would wait. He would take a step back and wait and find that hole. And then I'm telling you, watch it, guys. It was very, very impressive. So I like his ability a lot. I think Michael Carter could be the starter when this is all said and done. I actually like Ty Johnson as a runner a little more than Tevin Coleman. I'm going to be honest. I thought what we saw in Ty Johnson last year was actually pretty impressive. And I thought what we saw in Josh Adams was pretty damn impressive too. So if we go with running back, if you guys saw it, I'm guessing you did. You saw, remember I gave you that take on Jamal Adams and, Jamal. Ha! Woo! Let's refresh that for a second. Forget that guy. That guy is gone and deserves to be gone. Forget that guy. Josh Adams. Remember, I gave you guys a take on Josh Adams and Ty Johnson, showing how underutilized they were last year. But when they played, they were freaking great. They were averaging 4 to 5 yards a carry. They had great receiving ratio. They had everything great. They were just getting 1 to 2 carries a game because the ball kept going to the freaking tank, the 1,000-year-old Adam Gore. We saw it. When they got a chance together, they lit it up. In the Las Vegas game, they had 100 and change yards between the two of them. I think it was like 167, 187. It was the most rushing yards for the Jets in like many years before that. So I was really excited about that potential. So we bring in a guy like Tevin Coleman. Not a bad signing. People say we don't have a stud in the backfield. Well, you don't need a stud in the backfield anymore. That's not how it works. I mean, it's nice to have that, but it's completely unnecessary. We don't see those guys like that anymore. We talked about it. Remember, I think it was a podcast or two ago. You guys remember I talked about, remember what it was like when, I don't know if you guys are around my age, I'm in my 30s, when we were kids, Curtis Martin, Jerome Bettis, Matt Forte when he was younger. Like, it was about the running back. It was all about the running back position. A lot of carries get that guy the ball. That's changed. It's a running back by committee now. And you don't need an all-star guy. I mean, think about it. You name a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, and there's like 2 or 3 other guys in the league of 32 teams because you make it by committees. And what did Robert Saleh and LaFleur do with the 49ers? They made it work with their committee. They made it great with unknown guys like Raheem Mostert. guys that we had a chance with. We won't go there. But they had fantastic seasons as unknown guys. Ty Johnson, again, and Josh Adams looked good last year in a bad system with Adam Gase. Told you guys down a little bit. So I actually like Ty Johnson's receiving ability over Tevin Coleman. What I would do is I would use Tevin Coleman in a receiving capacity. That's what I would do. I tweeted it out the other day. I don't know if you guys saw it. I see Michael Carter becoming the starter. I mean, again, that patient-style running back, he's only 200 pounds, but I mentioned to you guys, again, if you go back to my take, when we did the long one on the draft, I mentioned now when I look at guys, specifically when I do my eval, a big thing with me is I don't like to get caught up in measurables. I don't look at what his height is, what his weight is, how he's compared to physically fit this. That doesn't matter to me. I want to see what he does on the field. I want to see how he produces, because you guys remember the joke I made. You remember when you do that? So you need to not get too wrapped up on those measurables. So when I watched Michael Carter play, I legit thought the dude was about 210, 215. The guy's only 200 pounds. He packs a punch. He's a strong runner for his size, but he's quick. He's elusive. He's a good pass catcher, but his underrated trait is his patience. Like we were supposed to have in the past, we have a rookie now that is a patient running back, a guy with that old school ability to judge a gap, judge a hole, and make that break. So we got a lot of talent. Now, it's important to have talent. It's really important to have talent because we saw in the past how it didn't work out. And just to run it through quick for a second, we talked about our receiving options, the receiving options that Joe Douglas has given this team this year. Well, last year, technically, Joe Douglas was still around. We know that. But he was working, with one draft. He was working basically with one free agency after coming in the year before that when those were done. So what does he do? And remember, we talked about how he took a team that was really poor, had no money, had barely any money, and gave us some of the most. We had the third most cap this year, guys. We had crazy amounts of money. But just 2 years ago, we had nada. He fixed it. And I pointed that out, remember, last year. I said this was Joe's frugalness to correct Mac's spending, to correct Mike McCagnon spending us into the ground. So we talked about all the receiving options our rookie has, which is important. For your young rookie quarterback to succeed, you need to surround them with talent. You need to not just put them in a successful system, a system that works and caters to their strengths and teaches them and makes them better. You need to give them the players around them to be able to succeed. And I think Joe is doing that. I mentioned all those receivers that that are going to be starting. I mentioned all the running backs, the tight end options now we have, especially with the receiving options with Yeboah and Herndon. It's exciting. We have options. But if we go back just to last year, Denzel Mims was easily our best receiver on our team, and he was a rookie. Other than Denzel Mims, we had Perriman. Perriman dropped half the balls that came to him. Let's make that clear. Brashad Perriman had like a catch percentage of like 50%. That is insane. He dropped basically as many as he caught. That's crazy. After that, we said Vincent Smith was hurt. So Sam Darnold had Crowder, Barrios, Jeff Smith, Lawrence Cager. That's it. Joe Douglas has added, obviously, Elijah Moore, obviously Corey Davis, brought talent into that room, added Kenny Yeboah, because before the only receiving option was Chris Herndon. And last year, the only running back options were Ty Johnson and Josh Adams, beside 1,000-year-old Frank Gore. And as you guys know, I thought they were pretty good together. I thought the two of them, we saw it in the Vegas game. In the Vegas game. When they played together, they did really, really well, and they grooved well together. So it's exciting. So we talk about being able to set teams up for success. I mean, look at that. So that's what, and we said, Sam Darnold had his own problems. I mean, this guy was the worst quarterback in the NFL. We talked about the difference between bad numbers and low numbers. The numbers weren't just low, they were statistically bad. But look at the talent he had. Denzel Mims was a rookie. He was hurt most of the season and a rookie. He's got Brashad Perriman, who drops half the balls that come to him. Vincent Smith was hurt. Jeff Smith, Lawrence Cager, Crowder was it. Crowder was the guy, and Barrios. That's it. Barrios shined a little bit, but that was it. That's not options. That's not weapons. And let's go to the year before that. We'll wind a little bit more and go back 2 years ago to 2019. What weapons did that team have? So they had Robbie Anderson and Quincy Enunwa and Jamison Crowder. That was supposed to work. So we were excited about that. That was supposed to be a good tandem. Now, Quincy Enunwa obviously gets hurt again, unfortunately. I mean, he had a neck injury. When you have an injury like that, it's hard to come back anyway. So the fact that he came back anyway is admirable, but I hate that he got hurt, but it's not shocking, unfortunately. It sucks, though. It really sucks. So we lost to Nunwa. We had Robbie Anderson. We had Jamison Crowder, but that's it. Other than that, and it's the same options. So let's look at that for a second. Chris Herndon was the option the last 2 years. Jamison Crowder was the option. It was good, but it needed to be more. There needed to be a lot more. And if we go back to even 2018, in Sam Darnold's first year, I mean, go back to even that. We look at who the receiving options are. You had Robbie Anderson, Jermaine Kearse. He was okay. It wasn't bad. He was okay. You have Terrell Pryor. That didn't pan out. You have Sharon Peake, Andre Roberts. You have no talent. There's nothing there. Remember, that was the biggest thing. Even if you knew Sam Darnold was bad, you couldn't question when people are like, he had no talent, because he had no talent. You couldn't question that. So even though a lot of it was on him, these are nothing teams. I mean, when Robbie Anderson was gone, that was his deep threat. Remember, that was Sam's guy, deep to Robbie Anderson. Anderson almost had 1,000 yards one year with Sam Darnold. Then all the other guys we mentioned, they're not it. So what does Joe Douglas do? Everything we mentioned. Corey Davis, Denzel Mims, 2 wide receiver 2s with wide receiver 1 potential all day. Jamison Crowder and Elijah Moore lighting it up in the slot. Guys, Elijah Moore, going back to him for a second, you don't see caliber receivers like him hitting free agency. There's a reason we signed Rashad Perriman last year, because he was one of the best options we can get. Top receivers don't normally go to free agency. There's a reason guys like Julio Jones may want to trade now, but he's been a Falcon forever. I'm calling it right now, guys. I'm calling it right now. Elijah Moore is going to be a career Jet, because that's what you do when you take a guy that high, when you take a talent of that level. There's a reason we said he was supposed to be a first-round guy. Mims fell, that's one thing. I'll be honest. Mims's college career doesn't hold up to Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore killed it, guys. Absolutely killed it. So I love Jamison Crowder, but Moore is going to become the guy. Elijah Moore very quickly is going to become the guy, and it's going to be exciting. So you have him, you have Corey Davis, Denzel Mims, Keelan Cole. Cager still got potential. Smith has got potential. But like we mentioned last year, that's what Sam was throwing to. I mean, Sam was throwing to the guys with the potential. He was throwing to the Cagers, throwing to the Jeff Smiths. Now those guys are depth, just like they belong. I mean, depth doesn't mean they're not playing. And remember, I mentioned it before. Depth doesn't mean you're not playing. You're always rotating guys. You're always using guys to their strengths, their physical abilities, how they match up. They're going to play. They're not going to get the kind of volume that a guy like Corey Davis or Denzel Mims or Crowder or Elijah Moore are going to get, but they'll get some catches. And hey, if they show up, if they play well, that's how you get more opportunities. You guys know that's why I love Bryce Huff. I think Bryce Huff just shifting to defense. That kid is massively underrated, a lot of potential. He showed in the little opportunity he had. I tweeted out to show it this year. Shout out to JetX. Those guys at JetX do great work. They put this great video together showing how he was just dynamic. I saw it. They put a great video together showing you guys so you can see it. Man, the potential is there. Carl Lawson, we could have another one in Bryce Huff. Those could be 2 guys that eat from the edge, man. That really can be. But the whole name of the episode was offensive weapons. And I think we've clarified it the best. We looked back at those former teams, the 2020 Jets, the 2019 Jets, even the 2018 Jets. Since Darnold was taken, the only offensive lineman we took was Becton, and that was under Joe in the first round. And wide receivers, we took Denzel Mims in the second round and Elijah Moore in the second round. Joe Douglas did that. Well, let's go back for a second. The last time we took a wide receiver in the second round was Devin Smith And that didn't work out. And before that was Stephen Hill. So if you're grading the Jets by Devin Smith and Stephen Hill, it's not looking good. So Douglas corrected that. Just like the fact that before Becton, we hadn't taken an offensive lineman in the first since 2006. He's building talent, but he's giving that quarterback everything he needs to succeed. And we've said it before, Zach Wilson, whether they say it, I've told you guys, you've heard it from me. Forget what everyone else says. Zach Wilson thrives under pressure. He was under pressure. It didn't look like pressure because he breaks simultaneously. It's that innate pocket presence. A lot of it was design rollouts, but a lot of it wasn't. A lot of it wasn't. That kid handles pressure well, plays well on the fly, plays well in the play action, just like Salah's going to utilize. And we got these weapons, baby. I think Michael Carter, I said, is going to be the starting running back. You got Ty Johnson, Tevin Coleman, Josh Adams. Hell, even Michael Perrine might show up. We talked about all those receivers, the tight end options. Man, I am stoked. So that's the whole point here. We're talking about a rookie quarterback being set up for success. We failed at that in the past. Our GMs failed miserably. I've been saying Joe Douglas is the guy. I've been saying he's the guy. I think everyone else finally agrees that Joe Douglas is the damn guy. Man, he did it. He's giving that rookie what he needs to succeed. So, before I go out, I want to know if you guys have any questions. Feel free to ask me anything, any shout-outs, any players you want me to talk about, any positions you want to spotlight. Now is your chance. So I see what you guys are chatting about. It's good stuff. You're talking about, weaknesses on offense, faith in Cager. Love it. Good stuff. But if you guys don't have any questions, I'm going to wrap it up there. But that's the key, guys. The key of those offensive weapons that Joe Douglas has put around our rookie to allow him to succeed with this new coaching staff. And I'm pumped. So let's go. Let's light it up. Like always, I appreciate you guys being here and taking part on the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast. Always happy to be talking to you guys all about them Jets, whatever you guys want to hear. Remember, you guys can always interact with each other in the comments, chat it up there, chat it up with me, ask me a question. It's what we do. I appreciate you guys being here like always. Thank you again for tuning in on your Monday evenings. Know you had other places you could have been. Appreciate you being here. Thank you again. Like James says, go Jets. Jets, baby. Jets, Jets, Jets. Thank you guys again for coming. If you haven't, please subscribe to the channel. And like always, we're here every Monday at 7 p.m. So check us out next Monday. I'll have a special guest for y'all. Jenny says good stuff. I got some good stuff for you next week. I got a guest for y'all. So tune in. YouTube, like always, live next Monday, 7. I'll be there. You be there. Again, thank you guys for tuning in to the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for being here.